let's pull up the last topic, which deals with what is that? Just hold on there so let me so that I can read out the topic we want to cover. Yeah, that is topic 7. Are you okay? Topic 7 is with national regulatory and institutional framework, especially in relation to Petroleum Industry Act 2021. We have dealt with the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation Limited, NNPCL. We will be dealing, Federal Ministry of Petroleum Resources is subsumed. That's not as significant because activities in the sector takes place at the level of the NMDPR and NPRC. So we'll be focusing more on the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, as well as Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Regulatory Authority. We'll also deal with the community issues in the petroleum sector, as well as something on the technology transfer and local content. That will be like Friday. So, and I've given you enough materials to start. For the purpose of what we'll be doing and for you guys to catch up, I suggest you read chapter 3. Hope you guys are noting it, please. Chapter 3, which deals with Nigerian Upstream Regulatory Commission. The whole of chapter 3 of the book is devoted to Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission. Chapter 4, this with the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority. That will give you an understanding of it. Chapter 5 is also crucial. This with legal issues in the administration of petroleum operations, licensing, and the environment. That also gives you a kind of an overview of assessing and regulatory issues. Then chapter 6. Chapter 6 deals with general administration of midstream and downstream petroleum operations. Chapter 7 is also of importance, deals with administration of midstream and downstream petroleum liquids. Chapter 8 deals with common provisions of upstream and midstream petroleum operation. Then go to chapter 11, which deals with chapter 11 deals with petroleum operations and host communities. Let me see the chapter that deals with technology transfer so that you guys can have it once and for all. But chapter 22 deals with local content. That's also to be covered. Chapter 22 deals with local content. Then lastly, chapter 25 deals with technology transfer. Chapter 25 deals with technology transfer. Y22 deals with local content. Hope you got all those listings correctly.
Yes, sir.
There is a copy of the book that I donated to the library for student use. Have you been using it in the library? Or they're not allowing you guys access to it? Who has been able to use the copy in the library? No, say who among you has been able to use a copy of the book in the library?
Good sir. So
Yeah.
I'm not, most of us are not in school currently, but as of last year when we were doing mineral law, I've used it before. As of last
The
year.
white one. Is it the brown one or the white and red one?
Honestly, I can't remember exactly how it looked, but it was very big. It was oil
It
and
is the white and
gas.
red one, sir.
You say?
The white and red one, sir.
Okay, because I gave 2 copies of the brown one to the library for student use, and also gave 1 copy of the white one to the library for student use because I understand. And those who want it can access it. They can buy it if they want for now or for practice or for whatever reasons. So I will just amplify essential issues that you can go and read up on your own. That will have had enough skills and knowledge of what you are here to cover. It's huge, it's a lot of things to read, and as I always emphasize, it's not about passing, it's about excelling. So coming to the Nigerian Petroleum Regulatory Commission, one of the innovative provisions of PIA is the establishment of the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission. It has primary regulatory powers and oversight over the technical and commercial activities of the upstream sector. It's also saddled with responsibilities and functions in the sector. So the most significant duty imposed on the Commission is to enforce compliance and stipulating conditions for all leases, licenses, permits, and authorization issued to companies in the sector. That's that. So you look at part 3, section 4 of the PIA, which provides that it shall be a body corporate in perpetual succession and a common sale. And shall have power to hold, acquire, hold, and dispose of property, sue, and be sold in his name. And that shall be responsible for commercial technical regulations of the upstream petroleum sector. So the law provides that it will have a commission made up of a number of commissioners. It functions as a primary regulatory body for that sector. So the objective of the commission are provided for in section 6A, and the objective include technical and commercial regulatory functions. One is to regulate upstream petroleum activities, including technical, operational, and commercial activities, including 1, technical, 2, operational, 3, commercial activities of the upstream sector. It's also to ensure, the objective of the commission also includes to ensure compliance with all applicable laws and provisions or regulations governing the sector. It seeks also to ensure that petroleum operations are carried out in a manner to minimize waste and to achieve optimal government revenue. It includes promoting highly safe, efficient, and effective conduct of upstream petroleum operations in an environmentally acceptable and sustainable manner. Seeks to ensure efficient, safe, effective, sustainable infrastructural development of upstream operations. It also seeks to administer and ensure the implementation and maintenance of technical standards, codes, practices, and specifications applicable to upstream petroleum operations pursuant to good international petroleum practice. The objective also includes to implement government policies for upstream petroleum operations as directed by the Minister of Petroleum in accordance with the provisions of the Act, including promoting an enabling environment for investment in the upstream petroleum operations, to ensure also strict implementation of environmental policies, laws, and regulations for upstream petroleum operations. It also includes ensuring the implementation of national policies for upstream petroleum operations, as well as implement such other policy and objectives as are consistent with the provision of the Act. So the functions of the commission are kind of laid out: enforce and administer the laws, regulate policies, ensure compliance, and so on and so forth as defined. So we need to pay particular attention to the objective as well as specific functions of Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission. That noted.
Yes, sir.
Good. It's the functions and objectives are extensive, so we don't want to start to call you with all those details. Just know that the law provides for what the Nigerian Upstream Regulatory Commission will do, and that it includes those things that have read out to you. For better understanding, you need to go back, painstakingly read that. So the powers of the commissions are also stipulated. By virtue of the provisions of Section 10, you need to know the objective, functions, duties, and powers of the commission. So by virtue of Section 10, the commission shall have power to A, enforce the provisions of any regulation made with respect to upstream petroleum operation, regulate or enforce regulations, policy, and guidelines formally administered by the Department of Petroleum Resources or Petroleum Inspectorate with respect to upstream petroleum operation. Also, enact with respect and all enactments with respect to upstream petroleum industry made prior to the coming into force of the Act. It will also have power to seal off premises pursuant to Section 217 of the Act, including any facility or plant engaged in upstream petroleum operation, where there has been a contravention of the Act. Then there are so many other powers that the law gives the commission to exercise. So the commission has a governing board made up of one non-executive chairman, two non-executive commissioners, the chief executive of the commission, the commission chief executive, which is the administrative head, then two other executive commissioners who are responsible for finance and accounts and exploration and active management, as well as one representative of the authority, not below the rank of the director, and one representative of the ministry, not below the rank of the director, and one representative of the Minister of Finance, not below the rank of the director, so on. So you need to read up on that to understand what the commission, the board of the commission looks like, including its function, remuneration, and other issues relating to the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission. You need to understand suspension or removal of the member, as well as other provisions, including specific functions of the commission chief executive and other executive commissioners. They are all provided in detail by the law, and they are extensive. You also need to understand the right of an employee of the commission, how you employ, how you serve, and so on and so other. So the budget as well as other provisions of the law. The fund of the commission is always, there's a designated fund for the commission from which it carries out day-to-day activities and others. So they are all provided adequately. And the Act, the PI also gives special power to the commission. Special powers to the commission in certain regard are also provided for in details. And you see all those, as I said, in chapter 3. And then you can read up on that. Is that okay? Hello, class.
Yes, sir, I think so.
Yes, sir.
Any question on the commission? Okay. There are no questions on the commission. Let me take you through the authority, which is the second regulatory body established by the petroleum industry in the petroleum sector. Commission deals with activities. Upstream activities relates to the lifting of crude oil, while the authority deals with the midstream and downstream, which deals with pipelines, gas, and retails. As you shall see in the course of the lecture. Did you guys read up on the schedule that provides for the incorporated joint ventures directed?
Yes, sir.
Did your class governor post it or you read it from another source?
I read it personally, sir.
You said?
I read it personally.
Who else did?
I read it, sir.
It's contained in the material earlier sent to you. I'm sure you know that.
Yes, sir.
I read from the material.
And it's also in the book, is there. So whatever, we just make sure you get to read it. That's
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes, the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority. The law also provides for the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authorities. One is called Commission, one is called Authority. The authority shall have powers similar to that of the Commission, the twin sister of the Commission. The objective of the authority, according to the law, includes to regulate midstream and downstream petroleum operations, including technical, operational, and commercial activities. Two, to ensure efficient, safe, effective, and sustainable infrastructure development of midstream and downstream petroleum operations. Promote healthy, safe, efficient, and effective conduct of midstream and downstream petroleum operations in an environmentally acceptable and sustainable manner. To promote a competitive market for midstream and downstream petroleum operations, promote the supply and distribution of natural gas and petroleum products in midstream and downstream petroleum operations, and security of natural gas supply for the domestic gas market. Ensure compliance with applicable laws and regulations governing midstream and downstream petroleum operations. Ensure crude oil supply for domestic refineries. Determine, administer, and ensure the implementation and maintenance of technical standards, codes, practices, and specifications applicable to midstream and downstream petroleum operations pursuant to good international petroleum industry practices. It's also implement government policies for midstream and downstream petroleum operations as directed by the minister and in accordance with the Act. To promote, establish, and develop a positive environment for international and domestic investment in midstream and downstream petroleum operations. It ensures strict implementation of implemented policies, laws, and regulations for midstream and downstream petroleum operations. develop and enforce a framework on tariff and for pricing for natural gas and petroleum products, as well as implement such other policies and objectives as are consistent with the provisions of the Act. So, similar to what the Commission does, carries out those listed activities. So it performs functions similar to that of the Commission, but in this case, it's limited to the the midstream and downstream sector. Determining tariff, processing of natural gas, transportation and transmission of natural gas, transportation of crude oil and bulk storage of crude oil, and so on and so. So specifically, it is saddled with a number of responsibilities, as I've explained earlier. They are listed there in the chapter for you to get familiar with those roles that the authority perform in the petroleum sector. Similar to the Commission also, the authority carries out those functions and by giving specific power to enforce. And the PIA gives the authority power to make regulations subject to the provisions of Section 216. And it provides that the authority shall, and both the authority and Commission shall consult with stakeholders analyzing such regulation. And the powers of the authority are also listed. They are extensive. They are also listed. All important points that you need to bear in mind is what we're talking about. The Act realizes that dispute resolution is crucial to midstream and downstream petroleum industry. Dispute is inevitable in energy and all forms of commercial transactions. Therefore, realizing the imperative of effective, prompt, and fair resolution of disputes, as well as the need to protect the interests of consumers in the midstream and downstream petroleum industry, the PIA gives the authority power to make industry regulation for dispute resolution concerning dispute with consumers. It also makes regulation for the purpose of pricing. That is an aspect of the petroleum industry that makes it important for you to negotiate and resolve disputes through mediation, sometimes at arbitration. That featured in one of the previous exams. Like the Commission, the authority has its own board of directors. You need to pay particular attention to the activities of the board. The board has responsibility for the formulation of policy, supervision, and giving direction to the authority. The board provides general guidance for the carrying out of the functions of the authority, to review and approve business, strategic, and operating plans of the authority, to consider and approve the national budget of the authority before submission to the National Assembly for appropriation, approve the management account and audited account of the authority, determine the term of condition of service of employees, recommend remuneration, allowances, benefits, and pensions of employees of the authority, in consultation with the National Salaries, Income and Wages Commission. Having regards to the specialized nature of the work to be performed by the authority, the need to ensure financial self-sufficiency of the authority, typically and responsibilities of entities, and so on and so forth. Those are the functions of the board and other stuff. So the authority has chief executive, directors, and other staff which the law gives power to have for the purpose of day-to-day administration. And they also have their powers as listed in the chapter. The budget, secretariat, and fund of the authority are also provided for. The heart. Now, I want to pay particular attention to it. So, it's also, hello, class.
Hello, sir.
Good.
Hello,
The
sir.
Act also provides for mainstream and downstream gas infrastructure fund that you need to pay particular attention to as one of the regulatory bodies. So the Act establishes a special body, a sub-agency within the authority named Mainstream and Downstream Gas Infrastructure. It also provides for special investigation units. You need to pay particular attention to that. And the powers for special investigation units, they are all spelled out in the chapter together. So the law provides for the functions of the executive director of midstream and downstream gas infrastructure fund. And distribute the percentage of the sharing of the money and how the funds is to be applied for the purpose of the activities. It's also provided for transfer of assets and so on and so forth. As I said, it's important for you guys to get acquainted with other aspects of what the law provides, including legal issues of administration of petroleum operations, licensing, and environment, as well as those chapters that I read out to you. So, particularly chapter 7 and 8. So, read up on that to chapter 7 and 8 as your tutorial for the day, as well as the ones I've mentioned to you. So, that will complement your knowledge of the commission as well as authority, and where they have overlapping powers, because the law provides for, the law makes room for common provisions in chapter 8, where both authority and the commissions do have powers, without contradicting one another. So the law provides for that. The law tries to strike a balance to avoid contradiction. So let me leave you guys to go and do your reading on those, particularly with chapters 3, 4, 5. It also mentions 6, 7, 8, and then we continue with 11, 22, and 28 on Friday, when we'll be dealing with petroleum operations and host communities, local content, as well as technology transfers. But ahead of Friday, you should be prepared for those. Read up the ones for today, then read the ones for the concluding part of the course ahead of Friday. And then I'll see you guys on Friday by the special grace of God. Any question?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Yes, sir. So I wanted to confirm something you said about a sub-agency under the downstream and midstream commission. Is that correct, sir?
You said I wanted to confirm.
Whether you mentioned a sub-agency.
Yes, if you read it, you know
Name.
that some agencies are also some bodies, not really agencies, bodies, like the Special Investigation Unit and the Fund as a designated fund. Because those agencies have their own executive officials,
Okay, sir.
but they are under the authority. Then the fund has its own executive director. It's like a petroleum trust fund created under that. So that's all a designated fund for the purpose of the midstream and downstream sector.
Then you mentioned licensing.
Yes, those are the ones you have to read up on in chapter 5, because the licensing aspect of it are not the ones I will handle, but those were aspects that will have been taught by my colleague. But you now will be able to understand better the interface of power, functions, and roles of either the commission or the agency, or the authority in respect of those licensing and related issues. The law provides for administration of midstream and downstream. It also makes room for common provisions of both. So, and I've listed those out for you in the chapters. When you go to library to read, you just pick points that are relevant to specific functions of the commission and authority for the purpose of your levels at this stage. Is that clear?
Yes, I do. Thank you.
Those are to beef up your knowledge of what it is that the authority or the commission will be doing in terms of regulation. But if you have to deal specifically with licensing will come up elsewhere. So, but we want you to understand the interface, the role that the commission or the authority will be performing in respect of licensing. Of course, that will also bring you up to speed as to forms of licenses, but we are not dealing specifically with licensing. We are not dealing with licensing specifically. We are just dealing with the institution, the roles we perform.
Thank you, sir.
Any other question?
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
I'm sorry, sir. When you were mentioning part of the things that we should read up on, you said something about balancing some issues. I didn't get that part, sir.
I
just got
said
to-
the chapter 7 makes provision for common provision.
Okay,
get
thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
So
Thank you, sir.
that chapter that provides for overlapping powers of both of them. Where
Oh.
because of the nature of the stuff they do, then the Petroleum Industry Act deemed it fit to devote a special chapter, and it provides for common areas where they overlap in terms of code. As said, chapter 5 provides for legal issues in the administration of upstream petroleum operations, licensing, and environment. And in that case, that's when you now deal with the kinds of licenses to be issued and the marginal fit issues and the rest. But those are not core focus. But it's important to understand the extent to which the commission exercises powers over those issues. Then, announced said the law, the petroleum industry had also provides for general administration of midstream and downstream petroleum operations. which also deal with the kind of permits to be given, compensation for land and the rest. I said you also need to read that chapter 6 to understand better the interface of the authority in respect of all those issues. I also said, in terms of chapter 7 provides for administration of midstream and downstream petroleum liquids. You need to understand the powers of the authority in respect of this, because the authority is the one in charge of liquids and gas. And now said specifically, chapter 8 provides for common provisions of upstream, midstream operations, meaning areas where they interface. And of course, chapter 8 deals with some legal issues that I try to simplify for readers. And that's why you see it in the book, chapter 8, with this explaining that. All those songs will, of course, beef up your knowledge as to the functions and roles and powers of both the authority and the commission. And that said, okay, before, when you read all those ones today, for the remaining part of the course, or when you are doing your own, forming your own note, getting your own materials, I've sent most of the materials to you anyway ahead of time. But for tomorrow, I'm not going to give additional materials. You should go and read it up in the books or go and get it copy from the book or make your notes, whatever. I said for Friday, our discussion on Friday will touch the remaining 3 issues. I'll be dealing with petroleum operations and host community. And if you want to read up on that, you can get that in chapter 11. I also talk about the fact that we want to do with local content. And I said local content in chapter, what is it? Chapter 28. Yes, as I told you that technology transfer is in chapter 25. I gave it down in chapter 25. The local content, I think, is chapter 22, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, local content, chapter 22. So both chapters 11, 22, and 25 of the book will form basis of our discussion when we meet on Friday to talk about petroleum operations and host communities, local content, as well as transfer of technology. And then I'll be done with you guys. Safe to send you further questions ahead of time at the right appropriate time when your class ready. Of course, you'll be directed to keep in touch with me for that purpose. We will pass tutorial questions, practice questions that will reflect what you learned from the course and how to start to engage in your own revision. With that said, let me take last question, if any. Do you have any questions? Okay, in the absence of that, I wish you guys the very best. And I will
Thank you so much.
And I hope to see you guys by the grace of God on Friday. Have a
Thank
lovely
you, sir.
Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.